Hello, tiny friends. Welcome back to TinyKeyHoleMinis. I'm Jolene, and today I want to share with you two miniature kits that I've designed with my new laser cutter. I thought since I'm new at this, I'm going to just do something simple and fun. I created two shelf kits that you can put together yourself. They're very versatile, very fun, and very simple. This first shelf kit is a 10-piece Halloween shelf. So you'll get 4 pieces to create the shelf and 6 accessory pieces. My good friend Gianna from Montarsi's Miniatures gave me a little case of these vintage mice, and I just thought they're so cute. I wanted to include them in the shelf kits. And you can paint them. I'll be painting mine today. You'll get a piece of lace web fabric and a couple wooden Halloween cuts, a pumpkin and a kitty. You'll get 2 web side supports and a larger web back display. The shelf board measures 2 inches by 1.25 inches. You can put these side supports underneath, on the sides, on the tops. It's very versatile. You'll also get a rubber spider and a resin skull. So if you're into spooky, if you're into fun and cutesy, this shelf will give you both options to fit whichever personality you are or whatever your miniature scene is going to be about. I'm going to choose these 3 pieces to display on my shelf today. So it's kind of going to be a little cutesy and fun. I'm going to paint my shelf black, but any color you choose will be fun. These web pieces are super delicate, so they have to be handled with care so they don't break. I'm only going to paint one side of the big spider web display because you won't see the back side. I'm also painting the cat black, and I'm going to paint both sides. And I'm going to paint the little mouse, which is going to take 2 coats of paint, depending on what type of paint you're using. I'm using a cheap acrylic paint that's super thin, so this mouse needed 2 coats, and that worked just fine. I'm also going to paint my little pumpkin white because I want him to be a ghost pumpkin, and I love white pumpkins. I'm not really sure what type of plastic this mouse is, but it takes acrylic paint very well. So you can choose to paint your little mouse any color you would like. Right now, I'm dusting him with a light gray, and I'm not covering the black completely because I want him to look like a little pewter figurine. I'm not sure how old the mice are. I know that they're pretty old and vintage, and I had a couple different colors, white and gray, and I also had a couple different positions. So I just randomly put one in the kits. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of black and add just a tiny bit and blend it out around the top of the pumpkin just to give it a little more character. Okay, now it's time to put my shelf together, and I'm just using tacky glue for this or any kind of white PVA craft glue. I would not recommend using hot glue because the pieces are quite thin and you really don't need to use hot glue. It might be a little bit too thick for your pieces to lay nice and smoothly on each surface. I just need to choose where I want to place my pieces. It's probably the hardest part of putting these kits together because they are so versatile. I've designed a very simple instruction sheet to go along with these kits, and it does have some example photos on it, and there are several options of where you can place these pieces. You can choose where you would like to put your large web display, and I'm just going to put a very thin layer of tacky glue right along the flat part of the web, which will be the bottom part. Unless you're putting it underneath, then that would be the top part. And then you can just carefully line it up with the edge of your shelf so that they're nice and even. and then clean off any excess glue. I'm just going to let it dry for a few minutes to set so I can move on with my other parts. When it comes to the side supports, you'll notice that the top part of the support is slightly shorter in length than the back part, and that is also in the instructions. But you have so many options for these side supports as well. So these can be placed on the top, like so. You can place them on the top, on the sides, or around the front. You can place them underneath and just let the shelf hang over a little bit. Or if you would like to bring your pieces all the way to the ends and place them that way, here's a fun position. You can put these smaller pieces together and make a smaller web and place them in the front or place them in the back. So they would look something like this. And that's pretty fun. I like the way that looks as well. Although I don't choose that way, I'm thinking maybe I'll make some more of these shelves down the road so that I could make them that way. But it's very versatile. There are some sample options that you can choose from in the kit and just play around with it and have fun. I'm going to place these on the side and just line them right up along the side of the shelf. So I'm just using a little bit of tacky glue and putting them into place. And you just want to make sure that you line them up evenly with your edges and that they're laying nice and straight. When you're happy with the way your shelf looks, let it set to dry completely before going on to decorate it. You can choose whatever pieces you would like to display on your shelf. My shelf is nice and dry and ready to decorate, so I'm going to start with the web lace. And you want to decide whether you want your lines to go vertically or horizontally. It's totally up to you. So take your time to make that decision. I'm going to choose to place mine horizontally because I feel like it looks more webby that way. It looks more like a spider web. And I'm also going to choose to hang some of it over the front of the shelf. So I'm just going to snip the front end and make it look like it's tattered and torn. And you don't have to use this piece at all if you don't like to. You could definitely use whatever you would like out of your own stash for your shelf. So I'm just trimming it up a little bit. I'm going to lay it down on my shelf to measure where I need to cut it and just snip it and then cut it right in half. I had an idea to use the second piece to place on the back of the bigger web display. So I'm just going to put some tacky glue on the back and I'm just putting a very thin layer on. And then I'm going to place that piece of lace right on the back of this. I'm going to let it dry completely before trimming off the excess. So this is what it looks like. And now I can go in and just trim away all that excess lace. I'm going to use my curved scissors to kind of just curve the middle sections in between each of the little posts here. If you wanted to opt out of the lace and use a piece of Halloween ribbon, kind of like a little runner, here's an example of what that might look like. So it's totally up to you on how you want to customize your little Halloween shelf. Now I'm going to add the piece that will be laying on the shelf board, and I'm adding some glue to the front edge so that when I lay it over the edge, it glues and attaches to that piece. And I'm adding a very little bit of glue, just sporadically, to the top of the shelf board. And then I'm going to lay down the lace webbing, and I'm just making sure to line it up to the very back, run it along the front and press it down. And I'm going to trim away the sides because they're not long enough to actually lay down and stick to the glue. So I'm just going to remove the excess. Now it's time to place my pieces on the shelf. So I'm just playing around. I already know which pieces I want to use, but I'm just showing you some of the options. So it's totally up to you on what you want to use. If you don't want to use any of these pieces and you want to use your own pieces, you can choose to use these pieces for something completely different. It's totally up to you. Okay, I've put a good amount of glue on the bottom of the mouse and I'm just putting him into place. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of glue along the bottom of my pumpkin. And I'm just going to place him right next to my little mouse. I think they look super cute together on the shelf. And now I'm going to add the little kitty. So I'm putting a little bit of glue along the bottom of the cat. And I'll place this little guy right here. So here is my little Halloween shelf. And I'll show you what it looks like on a display wall. But I thought this was super cute and super fun. I hope you like it and would like to have one of your own. Here's what it looks like on the wall. And this is just a little display room box that I created. And it is actually a project I was working on and haven't finished yet. So hopefully sometime in the future, I'll be able to finish it. And I may possibly do a video on how I made that light up jack-o'-lantern and the little table that it's sitting on. I actually made those pieces before I created my miniature channel. So that might be a future video coming up sometime in the future. Okay, so that completes my very first kit, a festive Halloween shelf kit, since Halloween is quickly approaching us and will be here before we know it. So now we can move on to the second shelf kit, which is more of a fancy decorative shelf. So this kit will come with 8 pieces. It will come with your 4 pieces to create your shelf and then 4 extra decorative pieces to add to the shelf. This shelf is so fun and has so many options to go with. So deciding on how you want to customize your shelf will definitely be the hardest part of this kit. But it will also come with simple basic instructions and sample photos as well. Today, my friends, I will be using wood stain. Now, this is probably the first time you see me use wood stain, but I am not against using wood stain. I just normally use my antique wax because it doesn't have an odor, it's non-toxic, it's easy to clean up, and it dries super quickly. And it is an alternative to wood stain. Today I have 2 different kinds of wood stain. One of the pros of using wood stain is you get several different options of colors. So I have a light pecan and a antique walnut, and I'm not really sure which one I want to go with yet. I am always partial to the darker wood stain, but since I have 2 different colors, I kind of want to see what the light one looks like. So I'm just doing a test run on this sample piece of wood before I make a decision. And I just don't want to be stuck with always using a dark wood color. And that's what I usually go for. So I'm going to see what this light pecan, this golden pecan looks like. And if I like it, I'll choose that one. Well, here are what the colors look like. And I don't know if I just didn't put enough on or what. It just takes forever for this stuff to dry. But I am still partial to the darker wood. So I'm going to use the antique walnut on this. I think I just like that better. So I am going to use that. And I am realizing that I'm super sensitive to the odor. So I don't know if it's just coming on with age because I don't remember being so sensitive to the odor. So if you're super sensitive to the odor, you might want to choose to go with antique wax. I just, yeah, prefer it better over the wood stain. I just didn't want you to think I was totally against wood stain, but I kind of am. But today I'm going to be a trooper and take one for the team. So antique wax, it kind of, or antique walnut, I'm going with, it kind of defeats the reason why I'm using wood stain, because I could very well go with my antique wax, but I am running very low and I did want to just go with the real wood stain on this just to try a different route. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this up and give them a couple coats, coat them on each side, and I will come back when they are completely finished and dried and I'm ready to put this little shelf together. Okay, I did use the antique walnut, right? Because this looks like the golden pecan. It definitely dries a lot later. Maybe I should have put another coat on. I don't know, but I'm going for it anyways. I'm going to use some tacky glue to put these pieces together. You could very well paint this shelf with acrylic paints or antique wax. Or if you do like to use wood stain, definitely go for it. It's your choice. But I'm just trying to play around with these pieces because there are so many different ways to place them. You can place them in the back corner. You can place them in the front corner. This little shelf is so fun, and they could just be any way you want it to be. So, like I said, the hardest part of putting this shelf together is figuring out how you want to customize the design of this. And I think that is just super fun. So I'm just showing you some options. There will be some sample options on the instructions. For the back display, you can put it in the front, you can put it in the back, you can put it on the top, on the bottom. You can put your pieces any way you would like. I love this shelf. Now, the side supports, like on the Halloween shelf, the top part will be slightly shorter than the back part, and that's how you will know what is what. And there are also flat sides to these little decorative pieces, and those will be the sides that you add your glue to. So I'm just going to place my little side supports right underneath, close to the edge, but not exactly all the way to the edge. But I am making sure to line it up all the way to the back so the pieces line up evenly. So when I do place this against the wall, they're nice and even. Okay, I got my side supports on, and I'm going to go ahead with my larger back display or my larger decorative piece. Now I am going to put this on the front along the bottom. So I'm basically just putting the basic shelf together before I add my little decorative pieces. But it is a good thing to know where you want your pieces to go before you start gluing your basic shelf together, because you could very well want to put those smaller decorative pieces in this area where I'm placing the larger piece. So definitely take your time to decide how you want to customize your shelf, where you want to put your pieces before you actually start putting your pieces and your shelf together. So this is just the basic shelf. And now I'm going to go ahead and place the smaller pieces on the top. And this was really super hard because when I designed this shelf, I did not have one specific design in mind. I just wanted it to be a super fun, versatile shelf that you can customize and create to be your own way. So I didn't think about it for myself, how I wanted to place these pieces or how I wanted mine to look. But again, there are flat sides on these smaller pieces, on these little decorative pieces, so you'll know where to add your glue. and they are very delicate. So if you do purchase one of these kits, please be careful while putting them together so that you don't break any of your pieces. Once they're glued into place and everything is nice and dry, they'll be secure. But in the meantime, while you're building your shelf, you want to handle them with care. Alrighty, so I decided to go with the back corners on this shelf and place my smaller decorative pieces on the back. So I'm just using some tacky glue, putting them into place. And you can do this style in the front as well. I almost went with the front. I just had such a hard time deciding on how I wanted to put this little shelf together. And I did not intend that. I just wanted to be super fun and very versatile so that you can create it your own way. But I am definitely going to have to make some more so that I can do different designs. And I am thinking about making a larger shelf with the same concept. So maybe another one like this with 2 or 3 shelves. I'm just making some adjustments so that my pieces are all straight and standing straight and all even with each other and lined up accordingly. My shelf is completed and dried and ready to decorate. So I am going to use this vintage piece of fabric with lace trimming, and I'm just going to cut it down to size. I don't want it to cover the front completely, but I do want to hang it over a little bit just because of the way the trimming is. So I'm just trimming it down to make sure that I'm not covering the front design completely. I'm using fabric tack for this part, and I'm also placing some on the front edge just to lay that lace down. I'm just smoothing it down. I would imagine that Miss Margot would put this on her shelf. I was given these lovely pieces by my tiny friend, Lisa, and I'm going to use them for this shelf. And I also made this cotton pod stick. I had to remove a cotton pod and cut it down a bit, but I'm going to stick it in this little vase and put this on the shelf. I've got some tacky wax on the back of this plate as well so that when I attach the shelf to the wall, the plate can be stuck to the wall as well. And then I'm going to place this little frame, and this is what it will look like. This definitely looks like Miss Margot. So I'm going to place these pieces on the shelf when I put it on the wall since they're having a hard time as is. So this is what it looks like. And I am definitely going to make another one for the other side of the fireplace because it actually looks really good on this wall. And I'm just showing the side view so you can see what that looks like. I do plan on creating a large mirror to go over the mantle, and I believe the 3 pieces will look really well on this wall together. So that is all for today, tiny friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have, please click that like button and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think about these kits in the comments below. I only have 2 of each kits listed on my Etsy right now because I used all the wood I had trying to make these. But I do have more wood on its way. So don't worry if you want one of these shelves and you missed out. I will be making some more as soon as I get that wood in. I'll get a few more kits listed. As always, tiny friends, I like to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing, and welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support. These are what the kits will look like. Until next time, tiny friends, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you all on the mini side. Bye-bye. I don't know what's going on with the camera, sorry. Whoa. Okay. I'm here. Okay, so I have